The key message is that if we aren't excellent at this issue, what's the point of being in a hospital?
Safety is number one.
There's so much to learn, there's so much to share, there's so much to continue to improve.
Patient safety is what healthcare is about.
It's just unacceptable to have preventable deaths and injuries occur.
It took a little while for the medical profession to realize that what we do is dangerous.
What hospitals can do to help the public is they don't want to be perceived that they're holding something back or keeping something from the consumer. And it's when the consumer perceives that there's something secret, like infection rates. What's your infection rates? Well, they're low. Well, no, what are they exactly? No, they're low. And those are the kinds of answers I got a lot from hospitals. Can you tell me what your MRSA infection rates are? Yes, but we're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell the public because they won't understand. They won't, they'll mistrust the information. They won't understand it in context. And those are the kinds of things that breed suspicion, I think, among the consumers. So if I had any advice, it's that hospitals need to embrace openness as much as possible.
Washington has proven that it's up for challenges.
When I worked at Chicago Tribune, I toured the nation, going from hospital to hospital in dozens of states. And the hospitals here are really good compared to places I've seen around the country. So Washington's, I think, really fortunate to have as good of a hospital system that it does.
We have pushed the national debate that Washington has been on the edge of almost all of these things. There's hardly a discussion that takes place with Don Berwick that he doesn't mention the Washington hospitals. Not only are we improving things within our own state, it's had a real impact nationally.
I think you've never arrived with patient safety. It's a continuous journey.
Currently, we're in a very severe economic downturn. Our board has made it very clear that that is not an excuse to let our resources down with regards to patient safety and quality.
In some ways, it may be better because of the current economic system, because we know that high quality outcomes often depend on efficient practices, and efficiency reduces costs.
It's a journey that I think reconnects us to our core mission and values, and why would you want to slow down or stop that progress? So.
The board has held our feet to the fire in saying that we're going to be a top performer in our national patient safety indicators.
The board now recognizes that patient safety and quality is their responsibility. It's not something that they can delegate away. Part of every meeting involves looking at our scorecard and how we're doing with regard to safety and quality.
Call to action from our board of directors is to be in the top 10% of all reportable patient safety measures.
The story on MRSA, our project here at the Seattle Times, began with a patient who called me. The Harborview example is really good for other hospitals because rather than close the doors and say, well, we're not going to have any comment on this because we know it's going to be negative, they said, look, we know what you are looking at. We know that it's probably not going to be favorable in part to us, but let us tell you the favorable parts. And I think they did the story. I think they did consumers. I think they did the city a great service by showing, here's what's going on, here's what we're doing about it, here's how we're struggling, against our peculiar or specific challenges. We're different than any other hospital, here's why. So again, it was that openness that really, I think, makes people feel better about what's going on.
Well, Don Berwick says if it's going to be lasting, it has to have the board as part of that.
We clearly have commissioners who are driving the ship and helping set expectations and goals.
Doesn't matter if you're small, it doesn't matter if you're huge, it doesn't matter if you're in between. If you have strong leadership and sort of the will to get this done, we get results.
CEOs and trustees need to recognize that people actually look to them. Very often CEOs and trustees feel like many of them are not healthcare professionals, and they feel as though people won't necessarily look to them for leadership in this area, that they will look to the physicians and the nurses in those in the trenches. But very often people do look to the trustees, they look to the CEOs to set the tone, to raise the bar, and that's how we're going to make progress in the future.